The Nintendo Switch has been one of the most successful consoles ever. With huge game after huge game, the software has helped drive the hardware and vice versa all throughout its life. However, with growing sentiment that the Switch 2 will be released this year or the next year, I think it's time that we talk about what the Switch 2 needs to do in order to be successful. So first, what success means to me in this video and what it literally means are very different. The Switch 2 could be very successful without doing one or many of these things that I mentioned in this video, but it could still be disappointing to me. So I just wanted to get that out of the way so we know that it could still be successful without doing these things, and it could still be disappointing to me even if it is successful. So first, and most important to me, is the console's power. I'm expecting this to just be a continuation of the hybrid model, which means the console will definitely be less powerful than the PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, but nobody is really expecting them to be that powerful. What we are expecting though is a system around PS4 level. It would be wildly disappointing to me if it's not on the same level as the PS4. It being below that level would limit third parties bringing games to the system, but it would also limit what Nintendo is able to do on a first party level, and that would be very disappointing for me. I personally just really want to see what all the teams can do, like Monolith Soft, the Zelda team, and all the other teams, what they can do with a more powerful system. And if it isn't on at least the PS4 level, it would be wildly disappointing. I think the next most important part for the Switch 2 to get right is backwards compatibility. Through this generation, a lot of us have built up huge libraries, both digitally and physically. And our physical and digital games need to be fully backwards compatible. Full stop. I think it'll be a disaster if one of these two ways are not built into the console from launch. It is a absolute must. To go further on the topic of backwards compatibility though, I would love to see old Switch games perform and look better on Switch 2. If you could play Tears of the Kingdom at an actual 1080p and a consistent 30 FPS without frame drops, it would just be absolutely wonderful. Other games would really benefit from this boost too, like the obvious Pokemon games, but even games like Fire Emblem Three Houses have some frame drops, so a boost would really help that game as well. High resolution would do huge worlds, huge games like the Xenoblade games wonders. I know this probably means that developers would have to drop patches for these games to get that boost on the Switch 2, but I think it would be well worth it for at least the first party Nintendo games. The library for the Switch is really amazing, and if we get performance boosts on our old Switch games, it certainly lessen the pressure of having an amazing launch lineup, at least for me. Now, I think it's time that we talk about the controllers. I'm not expecting huge changes since I think they're going to stick to the hybrid model, but I certainly think that there are some that need to happen. First and foremost, Nintendo needs to eliminate the widespread drift problem on both Joy-Cons and Pro controllers. I know it can't be entirely eliminated, but it needs to be lessened exponentially. The drift problem is really, really egregious on the Joy-Cons. I know personally I had to send my Joy-Cons into Nintendo to get them fixed, and I've also purchased several Pro controllers, like 4 Plus. So yeah, that needs to be pretty much not entirely eliminated, but as much as you can eliminate it, it needs to happen. Other than that issue though, I actually really like the Switch controllers, especially the Pro controller. The biggest upgrade I can think of them doing would be giving at least the Pro controller, but hopefully the Joy-Cons too, would be adaptive feedback on the triggers. I think this would be a really good addition. I know that it is kind of taking what the PS5 did, like directly, right? So I don't know if that's something that they're going to want to do when it would be very clear that it's directly influenced by Sony. But I think it would really be awesome to feel in games. Otherwise, just generally increasing the comfortability of the Joy-Cons would really help me at least play in handheld mode more often. Next up is the main menu. I just want one thing, and the one thing is themes. The themes on the 3DS were really, really cool. Not only did it give you really cool art of games, but also changed the music on the main menu to match the theme. Like, I think you could hear the overworld theme from A Link Between Worlds if you had the Link Between Worlds theme and stuff like that. You'd hear the Team Skull theme if you had the Team Skull theme on your 3DS. So it was just really, really cool, and I want that back. And I also can't imagine that it's not profitable for Nintendo. Like, you're just selling us like art that, I don't know, you probably have already, or if you don't, like, it's a lot of the concepts already you know what I'm saying. I can't imagine that it's not profitable for them to sell us that for $1 or $2. Yeah, even a step below that though, anything besides black and white themes and that's it would be better. I also would really appreciate a more in-depth activity log to track your playtime with games. The one on the Switch is pretty bare bones, but the one on the 3DS gave you a lot of cool stats, like average playtime for each game and how many times you've booted up a game for each game. So I just think that a more in-depth activity log on the system would be really nice to have. Finally, let's end it off with launch titles. We all know how important having a good launch is. It's probably one of the main factors in the Switch's success. Breath of the Wild being what it is and being a launch title absolutely helped boost the Switch in the first year. Now, it's highly unlikely that there is a game like Breath of the Wild upon release. There just won't be something as defining as it. However, there are still opportunities for the Switch 2 to have a huge launch lineup. I already have a whole discussion video up about what a launch lineup could look like, and I'll link that in the description. It could, though, be even better than what I discussed if it releases in 2025. So let's go with a quick breakdown for those of you who didn't watch that video. We're likely going to get one of a 3D Mario or a Mario Kart, one of the two. Metroid Prime 4 is also something that we'll probably get, but even Metroid Prime 4 could be pushing it. We also could get some ports or remakes to help fill out that launch lineup. In the video, I mentioned a Xenoblade X remake and the ports of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. The remakes, obviously. I think those four are probably a little too much to ask for when you just look at launch lineups past. 4 games, like semi-high profile like that, that's usually not what happens. But I think it's reasonable that we could get 2 or 3 of them at launch. I think it would make quite the good launch lineup as well. And to further that, within the first year, I think a new Kirby or a new Animal Crossing are honestly on the table, especially a new 2D Kirby game. That just seems like very, very much so about the time. And then if it releases in 2025, the last Animal Crossing came out in 2020, it'd be 5 years. So I definitely think a new Animal Crossing could be on the table as well when you consider that. So overall, I think the launch lineup and the lineup for the whole first year could be really, really good. And I'm just excited to see what they do with it. And I think it's one of the most, if not the most important factor to having a successful console. Nintendo could definitely throw in some other gimmicks as well. I've heard many gimmicks thrown around, from Street Pass to dual screens to even an SSD in the dock for faster load times when it's docked. I don't even know if it's possible. But I really couldn't care less about those gimmicks. I just want another Switch with more power. That's all I want. And I honestly won't ask for more than that. But with that, that is all I have, guys. So let me know what you think the Switch 2 needs to do to be successful. Like and subscribe for more discussion around Nintendo in general, around Nintendo games, things like that. And with that, I'll catch you guys next time.